Hi everybody, welcome to week 7 ELA instructional video. So as you can see on the overview video and then on this video, we have lots of pumpkins because last week was the first day of fall. I'm so excited about this. So I actually decorated my whole house with pumpkins and I'm all ready for fall. So you'll see over the next couple of weeks, lots of pumpkins and fall things in our PowerPoints. And I really like this one. I don't know if you can see it at the bottom, but it's like a little pumpkin that turns into a dog. So I knew most of you would like that little video. So keep your eye out for pumpkins as we go along. Okay, so we're going to be reviewing standards this week. So we're not really learning anything new, but we're just kind of reviewing what we've already learned. So we're going to review describing characters in depth, setting or events in a story or drama, drawing on specific details in the text, which is 1.3. We're going to review 1.1, which is your evidence. So finding evidence to support your thinking about the text. And then the last one is RL 2.4, which is to determine the meaning of words and phrases as they are used in a text. So that's our vocabulary standard. Okay, so we already talked about this in the weekly overview, but this week is a little shorter, so we don't have an assessment this week, but we do have a weekly assignment, which is graded. So you still get a grade, but it's just not the long text test that we usually have. So you should have already watched the weekly overview video. You are watching the instructional video right now. Then once we're done watching this, you need to do the weekly assignment, which is on Schoology in the week 7 folder in ELA. And then the last thing is to do mind play and iReady reading. Oh, let me go back. If you did not do the mind play diagnostic, you need to do that. So please make sure you do that this week and finish it. And then you should be doing 30 minutes of mind play every single day. So for 5 days in the week. So that's 150 minutes of mind play and then 45 minutes of iReady reading. Okay, so let's jump right in. So we're going to read through the text. Actually, we're going to just read parts of it and then we're going to answer some questions and then we'll read the end and then we'll answer some more questions. All right, we're only doing one text this week on the video. So lending a hand. I can manage, Tara muttered. As she trudged on, she felt off balance. She was carrying her overnight bag, her sheets, and her pillow, all in her left hand and over her left arm. Just because her right arm was broken, Melanie was treating her like she couldn't do anything for herself, and Tara was getting angry. Maybe she looked silly, but she didn't need any help. Tara entered the girls' cabin where the others were telling jokes and laughing while making their beds. Tara dropped off her belongings on the floor and began to make her own bed with one hand. It was pretty impossible to get the sheet all tucked in without her right hand, but she managed in a crooked kind of way. Before anyone noticed, she threw the rest of her things onto the bed to cover her poor bed-making skills. Miss Davis and Miss Hung, Tara's troop leaders, appeared at the cabin door. Come on, girls, time for the sunset hike, Miss Davis said. The girls, still chatting and laughing, scrambled out of the room to follow Miss Davis. Everyone was in a good mood, and usually Tara would have been happy to be camping in the woods with her friends. But today, because of her broken hand, Tara just felt grouchy. Tara lagged behind the other girls, and Melanie slowed down to join her. Only Miss Hung was behind them. Hey, Tara, isn't this great? Melanie squealed. The sunset hike is my favorite. Tara didn't answer. Tara, I can't wait to eat your special secret potatoes tonight, Melanie said. Tara sighed. I'm not making them. All right, so let's answer 2 questions and then we'll keep reading. So the first question is, and these go together, which phrase best describes how Tara felt before the sunset hike? A, angry because of her sloppy bed. B, excited to be camping with her friends. C, upset because of her broken hand. D, sleepy enough to be going to bed. So let's go back and let's look at our text. So Tara's really annoyed because her friend's trying to help her because her hand is broken. So that's really what the whole first paragraph is about, how she's kind of annoyed about her hand. And then the second paragraph is still talking about how she's having a hard time making her bed because of her hand. And then if I keep reading, Oh, it says right here. Nope, hold on, let me find it. But today, because of her broken hand, Tara felt grouchy. So I know grouchy is kind of like a synonym for upset. So it means the same thing as being upset. So she's upset because of her broken hand. So the answer would be C. So now I need to find evidence to support that. So I just, I don't know, hopefully you can see my pointer, but I have the sentence where it says, hold on. No, let's use a different color. But today, because of her broken hand, Tara felt grouchy. Tara just felt grouchy. So that's one piece of evidence I know just from reading the text. So that would be F. Hold on, my pen's not working. Oh, there we go. And then now I have to find the other one. So now I'm going to go through and I'm going to read the other answer choices and see if that supports. Oh, I didn't circle my answer up here at the top. I can't. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to find the second sentence that supports that she was upset because of her broken hand. So A, Tara entered the girls' cabin where the others were telling jokes and laughing while making their beds. Hold on, I have to change the color of this because I can't see the, here, we'll use this color. That's better. Ooh, that's so much better. Okay, so they're laughing and making their beds. That has nothing to do with her being angry because of her broken hand. So we're going to put an X next to that. We're going to eliminate that answer choice. B, Tara dropped her belongings on the floor and began to make her bed with one hand. Well, that talks about her hand. She dropped her belongings on the floor and she tried to make her bed with one hand. So I think that might be the answer, but let's put a question mark next to it. Let's keep going and see if we find an answer that's better. C, it was pretty impossible to get the sheet tucked in with her right hand, but she managed in a crooked kind of way. Well, that doesn't really talk about her being upset, so I don't think that's the answer. D, the girls, still chatting and laughing, scrambled out of the room to follow Miss Davis. That doesn't really talk about her being upset or her broken hand. E, everyone was in a good mood, and usually Tara would also have been happy to be camping in the woods with her friends. It does talk about her usually being happy, but it doesn't really talk about her hand or her being upset. So I think the answer is B and F. This just shows you the answers. I underlined some of my text evidence. So when you do your assignment, you should be able to, not on the text, but on the questions, you should be able to underline the keywords in the question. If not on the assignment this week, definitely on the test, because usually I type out the answers for the test. All right, let's keep reading the story. Melanie looked shocked. Every girl had a dinner job on the camping trip, and preparing the potatoes had always been Tara's job. Only Tara knew the secret recipe, a carefully measured mixture of olive oil and herbs and spices that she drizzled onto the potatoes before wrapping them in foil and giving them to Miss Hung to cook on the campfire. Tara couldn't prepare the potatoes without her right hand, and she couldn't get anyone to help her without telling them the secret recipe. Melanie noticed Tara's disappointment. "What's going on, Tara?" Melanie asked. "Just leave me alone," Tara snapped. As soon as the words escaped her lips, Tara realized that she had just yelled at her best friend. She had never done that before, but right now she was too upset to care. Melanie looked as though she was going to say something. Instead, she just shook her head sadly and ran ahead to rejoin the other girls. Suddenly, Miss Hung was at Tara's side. "Tara, you have been looking down at the ground during this entire walk," Miss Hung observed. "I suggest you look up at the sky." Tara hesitated, but when she looked up, she saw that they had arrived at the lake. In the sky above the lake reflected a glorious orchestra of colors: fiery orange, deep red, and hot pink, in an uneven pattern of stripes and dashes. She drew in a deep breath as she noticed the fresh air for the first time today. Also, Mrs. Hung said gently, "I thought I heard you say something about no potatoes tonight. I must have heard wrong." Tara smiled. She would just have to get help. It wouldn't be so bad. She would have to tell her secret recipe to only one person, a special person to whom she owed a huge apology. All right, so let's look at hopefully you can see this. Let's look at the questions. Number 13, what effect does it have on Tara when Melanie tries to help Tara carry her items? So remember, we have to go back. Let's go back to hold on. Let's go back to the beginning. Oh, not that far. Oops. Okay, so up at the very beginning, she said, I can manage, Tara muttered. As she trudged on, she felt off balance. So then it says Melanie was treating her like she couldn't do anything for herself, and Tara was getting angry. So we know she was getting angry. So the answer would be C. Tara feels angry. But we should always read all the answer choices to make sure that there's not a better answer choice. So think about it. Melanie's trying to carry her items. Tara feels better. No, she doesn't feel better. Tara yells. She does yell, but that doesn't really tell me what effect it has on Tara. D, Tara makes a plan. No. All right, so the answer, that's supposed to be next. The answer is C. 14, which best describes the setting of the story? So it tells me, and as I was looking through this before we started, I thought, oh, I don't know which between two of the answers. So they're out camping, and it says right here, if you look, on the camping trip. So you kind of have to look farther along in the text. At the beginning, it talks about them being in the cabin, and so we don't really know. It could be that they are in the woods at a friend's sleepover, but it specifically says a camping trip on paragraph 9. So they're not, we know they're definitely not in the city because they're making potatoes on a campfire. In the woods at a friend's sleepover, no, because we found right here where it says camping trip, and then D, in the woods on a camping trip is the answer. 15, what does the phrase reflected a glorious orchestra of colors mean as it is used in paragraph 14? So remember, we have to go back, when it says in a paragraph, we have to go back and look in that paragraph. So it says, in the sky above the lake reflected a glorious orchestra of colors, fiery orange, deep red, and hot pink, and an uneven pattern of stripes and dashes. So let's look, what do we think that means? A, the colors made music together. So think about this. Yes, there's all these colors, but do the colors from the sunset make music? No. So A is not the answer. B, the colors worked as hard as a band. So the colors aren't working, they're just hanging out in the sky. So we know that's not the answer. C, the colors complemented each other. So I know complemented means go together. So that might be my answer. Let's put a question, that's supposed to be a question mark. And then D, the colors were dark and boring. They're talking about bright orange and red and pink. Those are not really boring colors. So the answer would be C. And this just shows us our answers. Okay, so now you're going to see this on FSA, you're going to see this on Benchmark. I know you saw it last year. So this is where we practice our grammar. So we're going to read through the whole thing and we're going to pick out our answers as we go along. And we're going to talk about why these are the answers. So it says read the passage below, choose the word or words that correctly complete the sentences. I've always loved animals, but we can't have a dog or cat because my brother is allergic to animal fur. My mother loves animals too. She works as a volunteer at a local, so it's going to be animal shelter, but it doesn't tell me the name of the animal shelter. It's just a shelter. So we're not going to capitalize animal or shelter because that's not the name of a shelter. It's just general. They're telling me it's a animal shelter. So it would be C, because it's not the name of the animal shelter. Now, if the name of the animal shelter was Gary's Animal Shelter, then the G would be capitalized, the A in animal would be capitalized, and the S in shelter would be capitalized because it's a specific name. But because it's not a specific name, neither A or the S are capitalized. My blank job sounds really good. So I know it's my mother, it's her job. So it's only one mother. So the answer would be B. We just put a Mother with an apostrophe S. Mom has told me many blank about the animal at the shelter. Okay, so I found this very challenging. I actually had to look up the answer because when I'm writing and I write stories, it would be C without the apostrophe. But when I looked it up online, another correct way to write stories, if you have more than one story, is B with an ES. I've never seen it written that way. I always see it as stories, but with no apostrophe. But the answer is B. About the animals at the shelter. I'm still too young to volunteer, but last week I asked my mom if I could go with her to help. She told me I could, but warned me to be ready to work. Volunteers' jobs can change every day. So I'm saying volunteers, like more than one volunteer. So a volunteer, but not a specific volunteer, just volunteers in general. So it would be B. Because she's saying in general, meaning more than one, a volunteer's jobs can change. Most of the time, Mom helps socialize the cats. This means that she helps cats get used to people so they can be adopted and have better lives. So this is one of those where the F changes when you have a plural, meaning more than one. The F would change to a V, so it would be lives. We spent all afternoon socializing the cats. All right, the next slide is just the answers to what we just did. You can see I did a much better job when I used the computer to bubble them in than when I drew them in. Okay, so what's next? The next thing you need to do is the weekly assignment, which is on Schoology. Remember, it is due by Sunday at midnight. It is for a grade. It doesn't say graded here, but it is. It does say at the beginning. And then the last thing you're gonna do is you have to get your iReady diagnostic done if you didn't do it already. You need to be doing 30 minutes of Mind Play every day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and you need to do the iReady reading for 45 minutes. Also, please make sure you are checking in on Focus every day. If you don't check in on Focus, you will be marked absent, okay? Let me know if you have any questions. I'm here to help. See you soon.